Waalaikumsalam, Vika.
What are you doing now?
I'm doing nothing.
Oh, I see. How are you today? Because it's been a long time no see you.
Oh, I'm great. How about you, Vika?
I'm very well, thank you. Putri, do you remember that we have assignment from Om Hatin?
Yes, we have assignment
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, we have assignment for what is that? Explain our last meeting that about five hypotheses in second language acquisition. Is it true?
Yes.
Okay, alright. For the first hypothesis, do you remember it? What is it?
Uh, for the first hypothesis is the acquisitions learning distinctions. That's it.
I see. What
That
is that?
that is the basis of all the hypotheses. From question, there are two ways in develop a second language competence from adults. For the first, the acquire system, and then the second is the learning system.
I see.
And Vika, how about the second hypothesis? Actually,
The second hypothesis, I think there is a natural order hypothesis. This hypothesis is one of the most exciting discoveries in language acquisition. Research in recent years has been finding that the acquisitions have grammatical structures, procedures, and in predictable order. Also, acquirers of a given language tend to acquire certain grammatical structure and also in another's later. And the agreement among the individual acquirers on this lateral hypothesis is not always 100% because there are a clear statistically significance and similarities. And do you have any idea for this hypothesis? Or you want to come to the next hypothesis to explain for me more?
oh yes. According to me, I think natural order hypothesis is which suggests that the acquisitions of grammatical structures follows a natural order which is predictable. That's Vika.
All right. So that's about natural hypothesis, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And for the third hypothesis, I think it is about monitor hypothesis. Is it true?
Yes. Can you
What do you think about it?
monitor hypothesis is in place that formal rules or conscious learning. There are three conditions for monitor use and occurrence individual variation in monitor use. The first is monitor over users, and then the second is monitor under user, and then the third is the optimal under users. How about you, Vika? Can you explain to me about the monitor hypothesis?
While the monitor hypothesis is the acquisition learning, the distinctions claims that two-spirit in processing consists in the adult. It does not state how they are used in second language performance. And the monitor hypothesis posits that the acquisition and learning in very specific ways. Normally, acquisitions in this way are our utterance in the second language acquisition and is responsible for our fluency. Learning has only one function, and that is as a monitor or the editor. Learning comes into play only to make change in the form of utterance, and after it has been produced by the acquired system. This about my opinion about the monitor hypothesis.
Oh, I see, Vika. Then go on to the next hypothesis.
Yeah, that is the input hypothesis, right?
Yes.
Number 4.
Uh,
According to my opinion, the input hypothesis is we will take much more time with this hypothesis than we did with the others for two reasons. But the first reason is much of this matter several published books and articles. And the second reason is important because it is important both theoretical and also practice the input hypothesis attempts to answer what is perhaps the most potential impact on all areas of language teaching, and the most important is how do we acquire language. The monitor hypothesis is correct that acquisition is central and learning more peripheral. Then the goal for our pedagogical should be to encourage acquisition. And the questions of this is how we acquire that become curriculum. Just that, I think.
Yes,
And
Vika.
we come to the next hypothesis is what is that? Number five,
The uh,
the affective filter hypothesis.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Affective filter hypothesis is how the several factors can relate it to the language acquisition process. There are three
Yes.
factors. The first is motivations, and then the second is self-confidence, and then the third is anxiety. Well, for the first motivation, someone who has high motivation usually do better in second language acquisitions. And then the
Mm,
second, self-confidence. Someone with a good self-image and with self-confidence tend to do better in second language acquisitions. And then the last, anxiety. Someone who has low anxiety could be conducive to second language acquisitions. That's all, Vika,
all
I
right.
think.
The affective filter hypothesis is captures about the relationship between affective variables. So the process of second language acquisition by posting, the acquirers vary with respect through strength or level or their affective filters. I think it's about that. Okay, thank you,
Oh,
Putri, for your what is that definition or explanation about the five hypotheses. I think I got more understand, and yeah, is that. Thank you,
th-
Putri.
yes, Vika, thank you too. Happy to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Dadah, assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.